Okay, last big slide here, and we're going to talk about Japan. Okay, Japan controlled Korea from the late 19th century until 1946. Okay, so the Korean people really don't like the Japanese. We talk about Nazism and Aryan superiority, right? You guys all know about how the Aryans thought they were superior to other races. Yeah. Well, the Japanese feel that they're superior to other Asian races. Okay? And so their mistreatment of the Koreans is very well documented. Now, in 1931, there's going to be an incident border between Korea and China. And this region of China is known as Manchuria. Okay? And they are going to invade. Now, being an island nation, okay, Japan, as it wants to industrialize and become more powerful, what is it lacking? Resources, natural resources, okay? And so by invading into China, they are going to open themselves up to more natural resources. And it's going to help them build their empire. Okay, now Manchuria is going to be renamed Manchukuo. All right, and it's going to become a puppet state. So you keep the Chinese in power there, but you control them like a puppet. You feed them wine and women and song and whatever they want. Just they do what you say. And there's a pretty good movie about this called The Last Emperor. Okay, and it's the last Chinese emperor of Manchuria, and it's a pretty good film. What the heck's wrong? Okay, the audio cable's not plugged. Sorry you missed some of the audio. All right. So, Japan attacks Japan in the region of Manchuria. All right. Now, Americans, are we shocked by this? Maybe a little, but not surprised because the Japanese have done this sort of thing, tried this sort of thing before. And the hope of the Kellogg-Briand Pact that we said was going to stop war from happening ever again, right? Yeah, that piece of paper failed, okay? Now, we sent an American observer to the League of Nations. Why an observer?
We're not a part of it.
Yeah, we're not a member of the League of Nations, okay? And the League of Nations is going to invoke the Kellogg-Briand Pact and outlaw Japan. I'm not really sure what that means. But the Japanese have an ambassador to the League of Nations, and their ambassador is going to fold up his papers, stand up, and walk out. And everybody's silence. Everybody just watch, all these other countries watch and walk out. The Japanese don't need the League of Nations. What's the League of Nations going to do? Now, one thing we considered doing is the Secretary of State, Stimson, said to Hoover, he said, hey, let's put some economic sanctions on Japan. Let's stop trading with them to punish them for attacking China, who is an ally of the United States, by the way, China. Okay? But Hoover says no. Why does he not want to stop trading and put sanctions on Japan? Yeah, he didn't want a war. The American people don't want a war. And if you you stop trading with Japan, you might create an enemy right there. And a conflict. And we don't want conflict. We're in the midst of this depression. We've got our own problems. Okay? What's the rest of the world going to do? Does Britain want war? Does France want war? Germany's not capable of war at this point. Russia's dealing with their own issues. They got this new communism thing going on here. They're not really looking to invade anybody at this point. So who's going to stand up for China? Nobody. Okay? And as you can see from this line, the Japanese are going to continue to incur further and further into China throughout the 1930s and in the early 40s, where they will take French Indochina, which is today Vietnam, okay? Laos, Cambodia, this region here. And we can't forget the Philippines down here, because that's an American territory. And as the Japanese expand, this is always a fear that the Japanese could attack the Philippines. We would be drawn into a war that we don't want. Okay, so that'll come back up again a little bit later. On December 7th, 1941, when they attack Pearl Harbor, they're going to attack the Philippines the same day. Okay, they're going to attack a bunch of different places on the same day. Okay. So this basically brings us to the conclusion, foreign policy-wise, of this section. And we really won't pick up much foreign policy in the next chapter with the New Deal. But in the following chapter, for sure, we will be getting into the war. Okay. But this is important to remember. One of the things we'll talk about a little bit down the road is the city of Nanking, which is in here. I don't know if any of you guys heard of the rape of Nanking. We're talking about 250,000 men, women, and children will be slaughtered by the Japanese in this city of Nanking. Okay, it's one of the worst atrocities of the entire war. Another thing we're going to see for the first time is airplanes being used to drop bombs on civilian targets, and the Japanese will do that. And this will be this war will have more bombing of civilian targets than any war in history. Obviously, it's the first war they have that technology, but you haven't seen that since either. And it's going to happen all over Europe and Asia. Okay. The last slide I have, guys, is basically there's a question on the test about causes of the Great Depression. Okay, and it's going to be a 6-point question. How many are you going to have to know? No, you're going to have to explain some. So, okay, so if you can remember 3 of these and explain them, you're in good shape. Okay? I can't even see me on this thing. I don't know what's going on. But bye.